I would have to agree. I think the matches themselves, and I'm just piggybacking what you just said. I think the matches themselves might have topped 40.
Is there a way we can have like a redo? Because
Did it? I don't think it had to be. I just always thought now you can use social media as another avenue to work us.
I am here with the one, the only baddest man on the planet from the 407 to the 575, the man that is going to give you his thoughts on professional wrestling, Jon Connor.
Yo, what's up? What's up, man? Let's get it. CultureMania, episode one, man. I'm glad we finally made it happen. I'm looking forward to an abundance of episodes, man. I'm looking forward to talking pro wrestling with you, man. Let's make it happen, man. Let's kick it off, man. Let's jump it off.
All right. And the craziest thing about this is we are recording 422, which means that we have just finished the Monday after WrestleMania. We are done with WrestleMania week. It is officially over. It came by. We had our fun for the week. We got to see things we never thought we would see, and we got to see things. Unfortunately, I owe you an apology, my friend. You were right on what you said about the main event. You were 100% right. I didn't like it when it happened. I did not like it.
Yeah, man, I had a gut feeling about both main events, about Cena and Cody and the triple threat with Roman Rollins and Punk. I just had a gut feeling, you know what I'm saying? I think my I was pretty cool. My ratio to how many I got right to how many I got wrong, it balanced out, but the main events, I just had a feeling. And I just think it's gonna make for some amazing storytelling. I think that going forward, seeing, and especially with what we just saw on Raw last night, with Cena counting down the number of dates he actually has left, and him making the point that not matches, these are dates. So all I got to do is show up and talk. I don't even necessarily, I could actually not wrestle for these last 27 dates and legitimately retire with the world championship. So it just makes for amazing TV, amazing pro wrestling. I think that that's beautiful. And I'm a Cody Rhodes dude, and I'm looking forward to seeing Cody, win it back and get his second run. But I'm loving heel John Cena. I'm loving where the story is going, man.
And so, for anybody who's asking, if you had seen our prediction episodes through the the weekend leading up to the actual shows of WrestleMania, John had said that this is going to feel different, and maybe at the end, when it's all said and done, and whoever wins night two's main event, maybe that's not something we wanted. And ironically enough, I texted him and I went, this is kind of underwhelming. Like, this was not what I thought we were going to get at all. So you were right there. You were 100% right when you said, everybody wants this one thing. And then once is there a way we can have like a redo? Because I don't like, it was
Yo,
cool seeing him have the 17, but then
but see, ain't that, think about it though. Isn't this why we love pro wrestling though? Because it take us
yes.
on the roller coaster ride. Like if we always got what we want, then that would make for boring TV. I think that this is amazing. Now watching Cody have to figure out a way back to that second championship. That's what I'm tuning in every week for. And I'm tuning in every week to watch John Cena do some of the best promo work of I think his entire career. I loved the Doctor of Thugonomics. I thought when he first turned into when he started to turn into the John Cena that we grew to know and love as the Doctor of Thugonomics, I thought he did amazing promo work. But I dare to say this is John Cena's best promo work I've seen in the entire 20-year run. I think it's amazing. I think it keeps you on your toes. I think that he's found that sweet spot where they say in pro wrestling the great ones can take they can take a little piece of who they really are and amplify it times 100, and that's how you become great. That's how you connect with the audience, is you take a shred of reality and you amplify it times 100. And I feel like listening to John Cena, I listened to his interview on the Pat McAfee show, I listened to some other promos, promotional media that he did leading into WrestleMania. And it seems like at different times in his life, this is really how John Cena feels. This not just John Cena the character on TV. I feel like John Cena the man. All of those years that people were chanting Cena sucks, let's go Cena, Cena sucks. It bothered John Cena the man. It bothered the person who had to go home at night and then go smile on TV the next week and have to block out. Remember when that dude had a I think that fan had a sign that said like it was something like if Cena wins, we riot, or it was
Yeah.
like, you know what I'm saying? And then Cena stood next to the dude and smiled. Cena didn't want to smile, man. Cena wanted to punch that dude in the face. But for the little kids and having to do Make a Wish, all of that, John Cena had to portray, he had to tote the company line. He had to portray the all-American good guy. But deep in his soul, I think this John Cena that we seeing right now was always in him, and it was having to lie dormant because he was the money maker for the company. And I feel like now John Cena is like, yo, you got your new golden boy Cody Rhodes. Now I can be the John Cena that I wanted to be all those years ago. Now I can go tell the fans what I really feel when I was throwing them three fingers up all those years. And I had to preach hustle, loyalty, and respect because it was keeping the money coming into WWE. And now that that responsibility is not on him anymore, I think that we are seeing the greatest blend of character, of fact and fiction, of reality and of fantasy. I think John Cena is doing the greatest job of blending those two that I think I've ever seen.
Oh, and the fact that I don't think we're gonna see Cody for a while. I think maybe a
Right.
month or two. We're gonna be gone. It looked like Randy. For anybody who hasn't watched Monday Night Raw, shame on you. Go watch it.
Yes.
It's on Netflix. Uh, Randy, comes from behind, hits an RKO, and kind of goes from there. Which means we have our setup for Backlash. Which who knows? Because Cena might not accept because he only has 27 dates.
Yes.
So I think that's hilarious. I think that's great. Overall, man, like, just this WrestleMania in general was, I would say, performance wise better than 40, but storyline wise it fell short.
I would, you know what? I would have to agree. I would have to agree. I think the matches themselves, and I'm just piggybacking what you just said. I think the matches themselves might have topped 40, but mm, you know what? I'm gonna think on that before I 100% agree with that
Yeah.
because I loved the Jade and Naomi story. I loved Cena and Cody story. I loved the Paul Heyman, Rollins and Reigns and Punk story. I think Jay and Gunther was cool. It got us to the finish line.
Yeah.
I could have. It was cool. But here's a question for you because I was thinking about this today because people were comparing WrestleMania 40 to WrestleMania 41. What are some of the matches you remember from WrestleMania 40 other than Cody finishing the story?
So I remember the wild and crazy um Philadelphia City of Brotherly Love street fight, and that's solely because Snoop was on commentary and we got Bubba Ray. Um,
Oh
what
snap!
else
Who
was
was it?
there?
Wait, who was in that match?
It was the Hurt Business, and then it was what was Carrying Cross's team at the time?
Wow, that did happen. See, I gotta go back and watch 40 again. I forgot all about that. The
And
things that
then
I remember from 40 was Jimmy versus Jay, right?
yeah,
And I remember Cody finishing the story. And I
yes,
remember the final boss and Roman Reigns versus Seth and Cody. And I remember, was it LA Knight versus AJ Styles?
yes.
I think those are the matches I remember. But my point in saying that is I feel like WrestleMania 41 has more matches that will stand the test of time. I feel like there are more moments that will stand the test of time from WrestleMania 41. We'll always remember when Paul Heyman turned on his two best friends, the Tribal Chief and CM Punk. I think we'll always remember Jacob Fatu's first championship run. We'll always remember Dominic Mysterio's first Intercontinental Championship run. I think we'll always remember the triple threat match, both triple threat matches, the main event. Well, I just said that one, but also the women's triple threat match with Io and Rhea and Bianca. I think there are just so many moments, and then you'll always remember John Cena winning his 17th. I think it's just so many moments to
Oh yeah.
remember about 41 that I'm not discrediting 40 at all, but I think 41 might be the more memorable WrestleMania.
Yeah, because I was thinking about it while you said that. The only other things I remember about 40 are Becky and Rhea, because that match was sloppy, and that was because both women were
Right,
sick. Not even their talent, they were just sick. And then
right.
the tag team showcase for both titles. That's about it. That's all I remember. AJ did have like a little beef with LA Knight for some, I don't even remember that story. Um so it is like you're not wrong. Like we're gonna remember. We're gonna sit back, even like 5 years from now. Probably the soonest age I'll say, like gap I'll say, is like 5 years from now. Everybody's gonna be like, you remember where Cena won the 17th, and
Yep.
people are gonna go crazy for that and be like, oh my god, that was amazing, or I don't remember it quite the way that it was that night. But even like walking in, like when he came out and he had no colors and he had the towel back here, and this is how I felt towards this. I was like, I don't like I looked at my girlfriend, I was like, I don't like this. Like this isn't my guy. This is not right. And then Cody comes out and his is so cartoony and so like
you would
Homelander-ish.
you wasn't feeling the Terminator American Nightmare skull, bro.
I loved it, but I was like, is some part of me, I even say it too because I was recording for the guys and for my vlog. I was recording and I was like, this is the most Homelander shit I've seen, because he just looks out and he's all happy, everybody's loving him, and I'm like, if this is like really weird to see this happen. This is like like a cartoon, like a carnival, like a circus. Like this is horrifying to see,
Yes.
because it looks like he's the unbeatable guy, and then for the way the match went is wild. But I want to talk a little bit about the women's triple threat, because those ladies did not get enough love for that. That was a beautiful match. That was a
Beau-
2K match. That was a video game match if
Bro,
I've ever seen one.
if I may say, bro, and I know this might be blasphemy for all pro wrestling fans, but Io, Bianca, and Rhea has replaced Bret Hart versus Owen Hart at WrestleMania 10 as my favorite opening WrestleMania match of all time. I think that match is legend. I think we watched three amazing superstars prove why they are legends. I think that we should enjoy Bianca, Rio, and Io for as long as we can, because those are once in a generation talents that when they're gone, they're gone. It's kind of like when you got a chance to see um Hogan versus Savage, or like just think of Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels. All of the matches that I can remember when I was a kid that I took for granted, because I thought I thought wrestling would always be that way. And I
Yeah.
thought that there'd always be another Shawn Michaels, another Bret Hart. But as time goes on, you realize no, there's not going to be another Bret Hart. It's not going to be another Shawn Michaels. You need to enjoy that moment in time while you have it. And I think with Bianca, Io, and Rhea, those three proved they are once in a generation talent, and we should enjoy every single match, every single moment that they give us, because performances like that don't happen often. I think that is Hall of Fame worthy performance. I think one day in the Hall of Fame they will be inducting that match into the WWE Hall of Fame. I think that it was amazing, and I agree with you. And so I'm gonna put that match over a million times over because I think that it was. I don't need years to go by for me to know that that match was special. I knew I was watching something special as it was happening. I once seen Jim Cornette say the beauty of pro wrestling is hold and counter hold. That's the thing that makes us get out of our seat. Ooh, I can't believe they did this. I can't believe that they countered with this. The beauty of pro wrestling is hold and counter hold. It was so many amazing counters. It was so many amazing twists and turns, and you couldn't believe what you were seeing. All three of those women went above and beyond. I think that is a Hall of Fame worthy match. I think no one outshined anyone. I think it was three stars shining equally as bright at WrestleMania, and they showed that's why they are who they are. When the lights were on bright, when it was WrestleMania and the world was watching, none of the three of them folded to the pressure. All three of them rose to the occasion. Iron sharpens iron, and we watched three three pieces of iron sharpen each other at the same time, and we watched three women become legends. Showcase of the immortals, they rose to the occasion, man.
Oh yeah, no. So I'll admit to everybody, I wasn't looking as forward to this match, not because it's the ladies, but I was like, you know what? I don't really know how the chemistry is gonna go. And then the spot that got me hooked in is when Rhea get puts Io into the razor's edge and throws her at Bianca, and
Rose
I was like,
Rabbit,
oh, I was like, this is it. We're getting into a video game. These girls are gonna do whatever they can
yes,
in this match, and it was beautiful. It was probably performance better than the men's, but the men's story wise better than the women's.
I agree. And just to throw a couple more out there at you, bro. When Bianca hit the two suplexes and then hit the third one and marched around the ring and hit the little dance. When Io hit her head on the post and then came back and bro, it was so much emotion. That was the epitome of getting emotion from the audience through art in the ring. Their artist that was artistry that we watched at WrestleMania between those three ladies. I could talk about that match forever, but I won't because I know we got other matches to get to. But I could talk about that match forever, man.
And so going into that, what was a match that you thought was gonna be that wasn't gonna deliver at all and surprised you a whole lot? What was your kind of like your dark horse match of the weekend?
I'm gonna be so honest with you, and much respect to both of these men. Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre was my dark horse. That was a match that I felt like I wasn't gonna care about at all. And when it happened, it was like, oh snap. Like they killed it. They did. Because if I'm not mistaken, that match was right after the women's triple threat. Am I
Yeah, that was
right?
right after because that was the Doom match,
Yes.
Doom Dark Ages match. Yeah.
Yes. So it was like the lady set the bar and Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre kept it right there. The momentum didn't fall when that match happened because that was a tough act to follow. And I think for me, the match that kind of like surprised me was Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre.
And I will be honest, my match had to have been, ironically enough, Logan Paul and AJ Styles. Because once it started
Mm.
getting there, I was like, you know what? I'm not worried too much. I get it. It's just a flippy do match. It's not gonna be that good. And it ended up selling. I was like, oh, it's hard to hate on him because you gotta love that he respects the business and AJ did whatever he could. But back onto the Drew and Damian match. I do love that we have selfies at WrestleMania, courtesy of
Love
Drew
it.
McIntyre.
Highlight one of the highlights of the match. How gangster is that to take a selfie in the middle of the match? Let's go, Drew.
I love that. I love that so much. The table spot was pretty cool. The double table
Yes.
spot was pretty cool.
The finish
Oh,
was amazing. The chair spot.
Overall, like it was a good match. I still don't. I feel like that was just a filler spot, and the guys delivered amazing because that story didn't really need to be at Mania, but I'm glad it was.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to who could have been at Mania, which could have been the tag team TLC match that we have this Friday, or yesterday, or today, or this morning, or whenever you guys are watching this episode. So I feel like that should have gone to Mania, but overall, there wasn't really a match that made me regret watching. There wasn't a match that made me go, do I this is bad. This shouldn't be on here. Everybody
Right.
did great.
Right.
Across both nights. I don't quite understand the whole, everybody complaining online that night one was boring. I think it was pretty good overall.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. I don't. Sometimes I just want to get on a megaphone and ask every pro wrestling fan, like, what were you expecting? Like, what did you want to happen? Because I thought night one was. I didn't think anything was wrong with night one. I think night one was dope. Yeah, I didn't see nothing wrong with night one.
No, because we have Jacob winning his first title.
Yep.
How many titles switched hands? Did almost every title switch hands?
Wow. Now that you mention it,
Almost every time, because we have a new U.S. champ. We don't. Tiffany saved her title. That was it. That's
true.
the only
Yep.
one that.
So yeah, every title except for Tiffany Stratton changed hands because we got new tag team champions. We got a new undisputed champion. We got a new world heavyweight champion. We got a new intercontinental champion. So every title except for Tiffany Stratton changed hands.
And EO. So just the women's, just the two main
Just
women
the two
are the only
women's.
ones.
That's a fact. That's crazy. That's a wild WrestleMania stat.
The
that's a wild.
ladies,
Yeah, that's a wild stat.
the ladies came to work. They
Yeah, they
came to
did.
work.
Yes, they did.
So overall, what is a match that definitely had you, other than the women's? I mean, we had Jacob win his first title. We had Dom win his first title. We had uh Damien and Drew take the floor. We had Jade and Naomi definitely put on a hell of a show.
Yes.
Other than the main titles and the main story match, what was an underdog match that you were also super excited that, like, now you sit back and you're like, "Oh my god, that was a great match."
Other than the women's triple threat, other than a match that I sit back and I think that was a great match. Uh, hmm. Wow, I think I might have to go back and watch 41 again to be able to answer that because the ones that stood out really stood out, and I think my only dark horse was Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre because every other match I expected it to be good. I expected the four-way Intercontinental Championship match to be good. I expected. I tell you what I'm happy about. I'm happy that LA Knight got put on a big stage and he showed that he could have a WrestleMania caliber match. For the second year in a row because I really want LA Knight at some point to get a push, before he calls it a day and before he retire. I really do. I think dude is super talented and I think he deserve it. So I was just happy to see him, even in a losing effort, still have a WrestleMania worthy match. Um I was so happy for Dominic Mysterio. I think that his work as a heel has been amazing, and I think that he does. Now here's the thing, bro. I've always been a fan of what they call chicken shit heels, right?
Hmm.
I was always a fan of the Honky Tonk Man when he was the Intercontinental Champion back in the 80s for like 300 or 400 days, and it was like he was like the softest dude and he was so like just cowardly, but nobody could beat him for 400 days. And I love that. I loved when the Mountie was the was when the Mountie was the Intercontinental Champion. I loved when Jeff Jarrett was the Intercontinental Champion. I love when those type of characters get the IC belt. So I love that now Dom gets to step into that position where now he's been killing it as a heel, but now with the strap, like I think that it's gonna take him to a whole other level of superstardom, and I think he deserves it. I really do. He stepped out of the shadow of his father's last name, and I think now everything that Dominic Mysterio gets, I truly feel like he deserves it.
It's wild to say that because we talked about it and I was like, man, this is why Dom needs to win. You know, you have Braun going to do this, and now Braun completely swerved my plans entirely. Thank you, Braun.
Yeah,
He's a
yeah,
Paulie guy now. Um, Penta did great in his first ever WrestleMania. Finn, Finn did Finn things and Finn did well. Overall, though, I think that was a great match, and that was one that I was like, man, I don't know. Let's look into this a little bit more because you can't be mad at whoever wins.
yeah.
And it proved itself. The writers room did great. Like it was beautiful. I loved it. Um, Overall, yeah, that's another question too. How are you gonna feel about WWE Unreal, that new show that they're coming out with, that they announced?
Bro, you literally just read my mind because when you said writer's room, that was the first thing I thought about. I'm gonna keep it real, bro. I don't think it's a good idea
I don't think so
because
either.
because I understand that we all know that pro wrestling is entertainment, right?
Yeah,
But I think that here's where I think the problem comes in at. If you're letting me into the writer's room,
yeah,
okay? And now I can see if a certain writer doesn't like a certain superstar and they're burying a superstar with the writing. When I watch it on TV, I'm not going to be invested in the heel babyface story you're telling me on TV. I'm going to be more invested in the writer versus wrestler thing that's happening behind the scenes. I'm going to know that what I'm seeing on the screen is not based off of these two dudes having this fictitious like war with each other. I'm gonna know writer Tim Johnson wrote this and this is why this is happening, or this is why somebody is getting a push or somebody's not getting a push. That I don't think I want to see that much behind the curtain. Now granted, I'm gonna watch it because I'm a fan of all things pro wrestling, but I don't think it's good for the wrestling business. I really don't. Like, because now you're taking the heat away from the performers. And if I watch this reality show, you're going to be having writers that's going to have heat in real life and not the performers. And I don't think that's a good thing.
no, once I saw this, and I'm glad. This is probably one of the very few times I'm glad that the IWC on Twitter just started roasting all of WWE and was like, "This is a horrible idea." I get it. I understand what Trips has done, and he's done it very well, letting the treating the fans as smart fans, compared to back in the day when you know somebody didn't let us be smart fans. But this is a step where I'm like, no, I'm good. I can't, especially for myself. I travel and shoot um, videos for different indie companies out here in New Mexico. I would never let anything like that be seen to the public. You're not supposed to do that. And so I'm very much. I'll watch it. Obviously, like you said, got to
Right.
support wrestling, but it's like I'm just gonna be watching it like this the entire time, just waiting to see what's gonna be put onto that screen.
Yeah, man, because I thought, to me, one of the beauty one of the beautiful things about professional wrestling is that they have the ability to work us where we don't know what's real and what's fake. I always thought that it was a great opportunity because people were saying like kayfabe is dead. I don't think it had to be. I just always thought now you can use social media as another avenue to work us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, get on your Instagram and continue the storyline by posting, shots at, whoever you feuding with on your Twitter or whatever the case may be. Use social media and use the media as a new way to work the fans. I always thought that that's what it should have been. Not let's lean so much into exposing the business to where now it's like, what's gonna keep me watching? What keeps you watching? What keeps you invested? It's the emotional like investment that we have as fans that keeps us tuning in. And I think when you pull back the curtain that much, it's like you taking away you're taking away the magic. You showing it's like if David Blaine showed me how he did his magic tricks, or Chris Angel showed us how you do the trick. Well, I don't want to pay to go see you do a magic show if you just told me how you did it.
Oh yeah, 100%. And so this is something that I think WWE hit something really well on the head, and now did something just absolutely horrible, and they did it in the same weekend, which is, announce the fact that they have acquired AAA wrestling out
Right.
here, out in Mexico. You finally have that. It's This is going to be awesome. We're going to be able to see these AAA stars out in NXT or even the main roster, because Joe Hendry made his WrestleMania debut. So anything can happen at this point now. But
Yes.
also WWE Unreal. And I'm very much on the point where I'm waiting to go back on the indies and listen to my guys and get pick their brains and be like, all right, fellas, how do we feel? Because I haven't texted them, but I want to have that conversation face to face and be like, all right, guys, how are we feeling about this? Does this want to make
Hmm.
you want to change your content a little bit? Because sometimes we'll shoot, different things for the guys, help them out with their content or come up with different ideas for their characters and this, that, and the other. And now it's like, all right, is this going to make you want to change a little bit, or is this going to keep you, you know, are are we going to have the rose colored glasses on? Like, what's going on now? Because it seems like the world of wrestling is changing, and it's
Right.
changing at a pace that we weren't ready for. And we've been
I
waiting
agree.
for our entire lives for this.
I agree. I got friends in the pro wrestling business as well, and I agree with you. I can't wait to pick their brains and see how they feel about this. But I 100% as a fan I feel like this WWE Unreal show is a bad idea, and I think hindsight is always 2020, and I think they're going to realize that this is a bad idea probably 3 4 years from now, when
Oh
you
yeah.
start getting fan reactions that you weren't expecting. And when you start seeing the effects that these type of things have, like even I saw The Rock on the Pat McAfee show, and
Oh no. Yeah.
yeah, he said a phrase, bro, that kind of caught me off guard. He said the phrase like, "Oh yeah, going into WrestleMania 41, I know all the finishes." I know you know the finishes, but I don't want to hear you say that. Like it's
Yeah.
like certain things. It's just like they always say, the suspension of disbelief. But now, where is that? I think the suspension of disbelief is gone when you saying phrases like "I knew the finishes," and like I seen Jay Uso got asked a question on like ESPN where it was like, how it was the question was worded crazy. It was something like so, did you already talk to your family about what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Implying you already know what's gonna happen at WrestleMania. So it's like, yo, I don't wanna, I don't. I don't think that that's good for wrestling, man. I think that we like not knowing. I think we want to be fooled. I think we want to be in a. We know what it is, but you don't have to like just throw it in our fucking faces as what it is. You know?
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think that's something that um people don't understand about the two sides, and especially you. I mean, you got to do something that a lot of people haven't gotten to do. You've actually made a theme song that has gone on national television and a pay-per-view, mind you. So you've gotten to do things in the business a lot of people won't get to do. And there's just those things that you just keep it to yourself. You don't really do much, you don't say much. If it's just the golden rule. And I think that people want to get in on the rule, they want to be part of the crowd, they want to know some of the things. And I've made jokes about it before on um, my other podcasts, when I've interviewed wrestlers. I'm like, this is not a world that you want to be behind the curtain very much. Going
Right.
from being a fan who grew up a fan, and then finally in my 20s I started working it, and I'm like, This is not the same. Doesn't mean I don't love it. It's just if I could change time, I might take a scenario where I could go back and not know as much because of that.
I 110% agree. It's been times that I've thought to myself, like, man, I want at some point I want to work with WWE in some capacity and work with AEW because I love for me, my passions were always music, movies, and pro wrestling. Like I love all three equally the same. But now the older I get, it's like, nah, maybe I don't. Maybe I do want to stay on this side of the curtain so that I can continue to enjoy it the same way I always have since I was a kid.
Yeah, and so I think that's something that people, um, because I mean I miss Monday. I took Monday off because this is my Super Bowl. I mean I'm a Cowboys fan. I don't get a Super Bowl. I've
Yeah.
never seen one in my life. I was born 2 years after they won their last one, so I've never gotten to see it. So I usually take the Monday after
Damn.
Mania off. Um, and my coworkers came in today and they were like, "Oh my god, how what's going to happen here? Like, this is happening. Where's this leading to?" Because they were asking me the entire week, like, Donovan, you tell with stories. Do you think is Cena going to win? And I'm like, you know what? Just watch it. Just enjoy it. And I told them that too. I was like, you saw Monday, watch Friday, and then watch
Yep.
Monday again, and then just keep going. Just don't ask questions. Just enjoy it because that's what I miss.
Yo, you just reminded me of John Cena on the Pat McAfee show. Did you see that?
I didn't see his. No, I did not.
He said something similar to what you just said. Pat McAfee asked him a question. He said something in the vein of, you kicking Cody in the nuts at Backlash, or what was it? Was oh no, it was Elimination
Elimination
Chamber.
Chamber. Yeah.
Yep, and he was like, was that all just to get to 17? Let us know. Is this how you really feel? And John Cena's response was, he said, Pat, you pretty much just asked me in a long-winded way, hey, there's some cool stuff going on TV. Can you spoil it for me? And he said, so I'm not gonna answer your question. And I respected that. That John Cena is like, yo, I'm not really down with pulling the curtain back this much. Like, and I respected that. I really respected how John Cena answered that question.
And that's how I treat a lot of people. Is I'm like, just watch. Well,
Yeah,
oh,
just watch and enjoy.
you kind of know the stories a little bit more. You pay attention. I'm like, all right, let me give you the general gist. Cena kicked Cody in the nuts. Cena wins. Cena's going to Mania. Watch the thing. And now I have to go, okay, Cody got kicked in the nuts again. Watch it because Cody's going to come back. I don't know when. I don't have the exact date. I don't know what he does. That is another person. I don't work there. All I can say is the man deserves a vacation after that. After
I
twice.
agree. I
Twice in the
agree.
same year. Deserves a vacation. So,
One I once heard someone say that pro wrestling mirrors society. And I do think that we do live in that instant gratification of a time where now, I'm a big Marvel fan too, right?
mhm,
And I'm guilty of it. I watch all the like spoilers and leaks and all of that type of stuff. And it's
same,
but it's like,
same.
what happened to the time where we could just anticipate the movie and just enjoy it while we in the theater and completely be surprised, And I think that pro wrestling is going through kind of the same thing. That's where society is, where we need to know everything now. We don't want spoilers. We want to. It's like, and I kind of think that we do ourselves a disservice. You know what I'm saying, by not just accepting art for what it is and needing to know the details that ultimately are what make the movie or what make the match or the pay-per-view great. We all just need to take a chill pill, man.
Oh no, I agree with you. I'm bad about that. So, I'm a big Marvel guy. As you can tell, I'm a nerd. Um,
Same here, bro.
Big Marvel guy. And so when Doomsday gets announced and Robert Downey Jr. comes out, I'm like, cool, which comics are we going to go for? And I'm already looking at them up and I'm already rating them. And I'm like, all right, cool. I kind of know what the story is. And when it comes to wrestling, I'm the opposite. I'm like, no, we don't need to know. We don't need to figure out where this is going. It's kind of there, but not, we don't really need to know. And I do miss that, where I was younger when I think I was like in middle school when the first Avengers actually came out, like when the first team up movie came out, and so
Mhm.
I missed that. I didn't know what was going to come. I didn't know who the big bad was. I figured it was Loki, but I didn't know for sure. And now we're getting into this. Um but on the back half, because this is episode 1, I want you to kind of explain, your love for wrestling, how you've gotten to work, with who you did in wrestling, and something that people can relate to a little bit.
Okay, so for everybody tuning in for the first time to CultureMania, I am Jon Connor. I'm a hip hop artist, producer, songwriter. Just a little background on me, just and of who I am, and how we got to this point. I started creating music when I was 11 years old. I was serious about it from the first time I ever touched the keys on the keyboard or wrote my lyrics. I was like super serious and passionate about it. um Went on to do a lot of things on underground hip hop scene. Later on, spent 7 years. I signed to Dr. Dre's and Jimmy Iovine's Aftermath Entertainment, Interscope Records. I left there, created my own company, Connor Culture slash All Varsity Music Group, and that's where I distribute my music now. So if you're interested in my music, go to connorculture.com, which is probably where you watching this at, or you probably watching on our YouTube channel. But either way, check out connorculture.com. So yeah, that's just a little background history. Hip hop artist, producer, songwriter, and all of that. So my love for pro wrestling though, I probably loved pro wrestling before I fell in love with creating music. My mother says that from the time I was born, my father would like sit me when my parents were together. They eventually got divorced, but when my parents were together, he would sit me on his lap and we would watch pro wrestling together when I was a baby. So I literally have been watching pro wrestling since before I could even remember, and I just fell in love with every aspect. Like I always understood and knew what pro wrestling was. Like I was the kid that would go to school and have my wrestling action figures, and other kids would be like, it's fake, and I'd be like, okay, my response literally as a kid was, it's entertainment. I was like 8 years old, like teaching kids how to watch wrestling. It's like, yo, like you think you telling me something by saying it's fake? Why do you think it's real? You think I really think the Undertaker is dead? You think I really think it's like, no, I understand. I understood at a young age, as I think most pro wrestling fans do. We understand what it is. Like we understand that it's a show. I always loved the spectacle of it all. You know what I'm saying? I love the characters. I love the tongue-in-cheek humor of pro wrestling. You know what I'm saying? It was like, wrestling knows what it is, and it's kind of winking at you all of the time with, you know what I'm saying? Like it knows what it is. It's a form of entertainment that can take you on an emotional roller coaster. It gives you excitement. If what you want is some action, it gives you that as well. I think it's one of the greatest forms of entertainment because it's like, look at what these dudes and these ladies and gentlemen go through. They get one time to perform this match on television. The way you see it is the way it happens. They don't get to go cut. They don't get to do another take. They have to get it right live, right in front of your eyes. You know what I'm saying? And they taking you on an emotional roller coaster. And man, I just always loved the musical aspect of it. I always just loved everything about pro wrestling. Kind of triggered all of my senses as a kid. And excuse me, there's a lot of things that I feel like are parallel with professional wrestling and being an artist. I think that my real name is Jan Freeman and my artist name is Jon Connor. That's no different than Dwayne Johnson's real name being Dwayne Johnson, but he plays The Rock. Like I think that Jon Connor is a part of me, but it's not all of who I am. And I think I've always found that to be the same, like between wrestling and music. That as an artist, you find a piece of yourself and you amplify that piece times 10. So it's like that's where my love comes from, man. Just growing up watching it as a kid, having a tremendous amount of respect for what they do. And man, I'm just a grown ass kid now. And I think I'll probably be watching pro wrestling, man, until I leave here, man.
Oh, see, that's perfect. That's great. That's what I wanted to hear because you've gotten to do, you've gotten to do really cool things and you've gotten to, to see what you've gotten to do and you're just still vibing. We're still we're having a wrestling conversation. It's
Yeah.
cool. And one thing I learned, and so I've gotten to train pro wrestling out in Texas and here in New Mexico. And one of the coolest things I've gotten to learn is there was one of my coaches, uh, we're having the conversation, first day of pro wrestling training, and um, he goes, "Have you ever walked into a theater during an Avengers movie and yelled out to the crowd, 'It's fake'?"
Hmm.
And I looked at him and I'm like, "No, why would I do that? That's pointless. That's so stupid." And he's like,
Right.
That's this business. Is you're gonna say that's stupid. Why would you do that? They use common sense, and there are people that are just never gonna be able to quite understand it, or maybe they're just they don't like the fact that this is a community that's so driven to be there for each other, like when you go to a big event and you could just talk to anybody and do anything like that. So
Absolutely.
this is pro wrestling. This is what wrestling is, and I think people can't understand it yet until you get into it, and then you're like, oh yeah, no, this is the greatest thing in the world. But
Bro,
it
you
just
want to
takes
know why, bro? Because these people are miserable. Pro wrestling binds us together through fun, through emotion. You know what I'm saying? It's like I never understood how you couldn't love it. You know what I mean? It is the best of everything, sports and entertainment. You know the funny thing too that I tell people nowadays is that all my life people was like telling me like, "Oh, you know wrestling's fake or whatever." And I knew what it was. I knew it was entertainment. But now I watch people watch reality shows that are fake and they think it's real. I watch people watch the news and they think that's real and it's fake. And now it's like I feel like the pro wrestling fans of the world, we get to laugh at those people now. It's like, "Oh, you think that's real? You don't know that these reality shows are fake and you're watching." And no disrespect, because I watch Love is Blind sometimes. I might, but it's like y'all watch these type of shows and you guys don't know that that's fake, but my entire life it was, I don't know, some unpardonable sin to watch professional wrestling. It's like, no, I think that people that watch professional wrestling are more in tune with reality than the average person. The news is a work. It's all heels and baby faces. Every
yep.
show, every reality show you see is heels, baby faces, storylines. We grow up knowing that. So I feel
Yeah,
like I'd rather be a willing participant and be a mark by choice than be an unknowing mark to a lot of the stuff that goes on in the world, man.
I think I think that is a great way to end this first episode is just making the statement. Let's face it, everybody who's watching this, they're going to learn more about us coming through this year, going and making more episodes, and I hope you guys enjoy this content overall. You will be able to watch it in two different places. You'll be able to see it on YouTube and you'll be able to see the longer, I guess, unedited version over on connorculture.com.
Yes,
Where can
sir.
everybody find you?
Find me at www.connorculture.com. Also, find me on Instagram. It's at Jon Connor Music, and that's JonConnorMusic. Man, that's my handle on all social media is at Jon Connor Music. And make sure you go check out my new project. It's called Food for the Soul. It's available on all streaming platforms. I also just dropped another project called Twin Flames with an extremely talented female artist by the name of Tootsie the Rapper. And when you go to connorculture.com, go get some merch like this shirt I got on. You got the Culture shirt with all of my albums on there. You got a bunch of cool shirts. And I'm going to make some CultureMania shirts too for our merch store on connorculture.com. But check me out.
I got a surprise for you. I'm waiting for the missus to come home because she actually the actual idea. Um, but everybody, I am Donovan. You can catch me at inguerilla.com, INGUERILLA.com. That is where I have my other shows. You get to see all the videos of me heading out into the indies. You get to see all the content creators that I've partnered up with over there on Inguerilla.com. We do all sorts of different content, so it's not just primarily wrestling. You have beauticians, and you have people that do the cannabis, and you have people who work on cars. So you never know what you're going to find over there. But I hope that you guys enjoy Culture Mania for what it is and what it's gonna be. I'm super excited. I can't wait. And we will see each and every one of you in our next videos. Later, guys.
Peace.